The conference room was packed. You could feel the tension, thick, silent, electric. Kathy stood at the head of the glass table, dressed sharply, her posture confident, her eyes steady. Around her, every executive, department head, and senior employee was seated, phones off, laptops closed, all eyes forward. At the far end of the table sat Graham Foster, the CEO of Velocity Dynamics, clean-shaven, smug, and too quiet. Then it happened. Without a shred of ceremony, he slid a white envelope across the table toward Kathy. It stopped just inches from her hand. "Congratulations, Kathy," he said, voice slick as oil. "You're terminated." Silence. No one moved. A few people shifted in their chairs, awkward and uncertain. Some looked down at their shoes. Others just stared, eyes wide. It was like watching someone get executed with a smile. Kathy didn't speak. She didn't flinch. She just looked at the envelope, then back at Graham. He was smiling. And somehow, that was the moment everything shifted. Kathy didn't touch the envelope. She just stared at it, as if it were a joke, a final insult dressed in corporate white. Then she stood, slowly, calmly. She unclipped her badge from her blazer and placed it neatly on the table. Not a sound in the room, not even a breath. She leaned forward, just slightly, voice low but steady. "Then I suggest," she paused, "you start preparing to explain to your investors why PulseLink will go offline in exactly 9 minutes. Boom. The room froze. Graham blinked, the smugness draining from his face. "Excuse me?" he said, but his voice cracked. Kathy smiled, not the kind that reaches the eyes, the kind that makes you feel like the floor is about to disappear. "Check the monitoring dashboard," she said, soft as silk. The countdown should have already started. And just like that, chaos entered the room. For 7 years, Kathy Reyes gave her life to PulseLink. She didn't just write the code. She designed the skeleton, wired the nervous system, and programmed the heartbeat of a logistics platform that powered corporations across the globe. It was the backbone of Velocity Dynamics. Without it, the company wasn't worth $1. But 6 months ago, something shifted. The meetings became colder. Access permissions slowly disappeared. Her name was quietly removed from press kits, project documents, even patent drafts. Kathy knew the signs. She'd seen this play before. So she acted, not out of revenge, but out of instinct for survival. She embedded a failsafe protocol deep within PulseLink's infrastructure, an automated trigger. If her admin credentials were ever revoked, the system would interpret it as a hostile takeover attempt and lock down completely. Not crash, not destroy, just go silent, no access. No API, no database, no UI. PulseLink gone dark. To outsiders, it would look like a catastrophic failure, but to Kathy, it was self-defense, and now it had activated exactly as designed. Kathy didn't cry. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. She simply turned and walked out of the room. Her heels clicked softly on the polished floor. No one followed. No one dared. Inside the conference room, silence hung for half a second. Then, chaos erupted. A junior analyst flipped open their laptop. The CTO stood up so fast his chair skidded across the floor. A department head bolted for the server room. Another person fumbled their phone, already dialing IT. "Check the logs. Why are APIs returning 503 errors? Is this a bug or a breach?" The monitoring dashboard flickered red. PulseLink was failing. Minute by minute, system by system, it began to die. The warehouse trackers went dark. The shipment schedules froze. Clients in New York, Tokyo, Berlin, all offline. Exactly 9 minutes after Kathy left the room, PulseLink went fully dark. 90% of global operations dead. Velocity Dynamics, once the darling of logistics tech, had just flatlined. And Kathy, she was already walking to the elevator, calm, steady, like someone who had just set down a burden. It was just after 9 p.m. Kathy had just finished dinner, curled up on the couch, Thai takeout beside her, and an old sitcom playing softly in the background. The world was quiet, but her inbox wasn't. Missed calls, Graham 12, Rachel 6, CTO Mark 2, unknown numbers, too many to count. She hadn't answered a single one. And then a knock at the door. Not a soft one, not hesitant. It was rushed, urgent, knuckles hitting wood with desperation. She checked the people, Rachel, and behind her, Mark. Out of breath, pale, sweating in the cold. Kathy didn't open right away. She just stood behind the door and watched them squirm. Then slowly, deliberately, she unlatched the lock. The door creaked open just a few inches. Rachel's voice cracked. "Kathy, please, we need to talk." Kathy tilted her head slightly. "Sudden, isn't it? Considering I was fired 6 hours ago." Mark stepped forward. "You're the only one who can fix this." Kathy didn't smile, didn't gloat. She just let the silence stretch long enough for them to feel the weight of their panic. Then she stepped aside. Shoes off. They entered like children who knew they were in trouble. And they were. Kathy didn't rush. She let them sit in silence on her couch, in her space, stripped of their titles, stripped of their power. She crossed one leg over the other, leaned back, and looked directly at them. "You want PulseLink back." Her voice was calm, but there was steel underneath. "Then we negotiate, on my terms." Mark swallowed. Rachel looked down. Kathy stood, walked to her bookshelf, and pulled out a folder, not a hard drive, not a USB stick, a folder, paper, physical, final. She laid it on the table. "Here are my conditions. 1. 50% ownership of all PulseLink patents, past, present, and future. 2. Immediate reinstatement as Chief Technology Officer. 3. A permanent seat on the board of directors. 4. A $15 million buyout for attempted erasure and breach of trust. 5. And one final thing. A public statement signed by Graham, the board, and every major investor acknowledging me as PulseLink's sole inventor. No spin, no corporate language, just truth." Mark blinked. "That's a lot." Kathy didn't blink. "It's fair." Silence. "You wanted PulseLink without me. Now you've seen what that looks like. If you want it back, you buy back what you tried to steal." Kathy Reyes walked into Velocity Dynamics at 8:47 a.m. No badge, no escort, no permission. She didn't need any of that anymore. The glass doors slid open, and every conversation in the lobby came to a halt. Phones froze mid-scroll, mugs hovered halfway to mouths, interns stiffened, executives dropped their smiles. Because when Kathy Reyes walked in, she wasn't just a former employee. She was the woman who had brought the company to its knees, then rebuilt it from the ashes on her terms. The silence wasn't awkward. It was reverent. Some stared, some looked down, and a few, the very same ones who once talked over her in meetings, cut her off, or ignored her in the hallway, lowered their heads. She didn't say a word. She didn't need to. Her presence said everything. The boardroom was tense. 12 people sat around the long table, suits, ties, expensive pens. At the far end sat Graham Foster, his tie tightened, his face pale, trying and failing to look composed. Kathy stood at the opposite end, her presence calm but commanding. She tapped her laptop. The screen behind her lit up. Slide 1. Internal security logs. Unauthorized logins. Midnight access attempts. File duplications, target PulseLink source code. Then came the timestamps, the IP addresses, the account name G. Foster Admin. Gasps rippled across the room. Graham's face twisted. "This is taken out of context," he stammered. Kathy raised a hand. Her voice cut through like a knife. "You don't speak until I'm done." Silence. "Section 8 of the shareholder agreement," she continued, states that any executive caught tampering with proprietary assets or engaging in malicious access is subject to immediate termination. She clicked to the final slide. Recommendation: terminate Graham Foster, CEO, effective immediately. No one spoke. Then the board chair cleared his throat. All in favor? Hands rose. 1, then 2, then all 12. Unanimous. Graham stood up, trembling with rage. You can't do this. I built this company. Kathy met his eyes. No, Graham, I built it. You just signed the checks. Security entered. They didn't have to say a word. Graham hesitated, then walked out. For the first time, truly powerless. It came at 10:12 p.m. Her phone buzzed once. Blocked number. Kathy almost ignored it. She was reviewing a security audit, sipping chamomile tea, feet tucked under her couch blanket. But something, instinct, maybe, told her to answer. She tapped the screen. Kathy Reyes speaking. A pause. Then a voice. Smooth, male, polished. But something about it, too calm, too calculated. Good evening, Miss Reyes. My name is Vincent. I represent parties interested in acquiring PulseLink. She didn't respond. The voice continued. We're prepared to offer a 9-figure sum. This isn't a pitch. It's not a negotiation. It's a warning. Kathy leaned back, narrowed her eyes. PulseLink isn't for sale. Another pause. And me? Her voice sharpened. I'm not here to be threatened. Silence. Then the call disconnected. No goodbye, no deal, just a threat hanging in the air. And Kathy? She didn't flinch. She set the phone down and opened her laptop. 12 minutes after the call ended, her laptop chimed. New email. No sender. No subject. Kathy frowned. She clicked it open. Just one sentence typed in lowercase. Check your back door. TikTok. Her breath caught. No attachments, no images, no signature. Just that. She didn't panic, didn't blink. Instead, she opened the PulseLink server console, navigated deep into the admin diagnostic shell, and ran a scan across all security triggers, the ones no one else even knew existed. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Lines of code scrolled by. And then she saw it. A ping. Tiny, silent, masked, almost invisible. Someone had found the back door. The very one Kathy had secretly used to shut down PulseLink after her termination. Someone was probing it, knocking gently, quietly, but with purpose. She leaned back, expression stone cold. They found it. Kathy didn't hesitate. She launched the emergency lockdown protocol, not the standard firewall, not just a password reset. No, this was deeper. Root-level isolation, a total system seal, every API, every database node, every integration link, closed, sealed, untouchable. PulseLink locked down at its very core. And then the attack came, not seconds later, immediately. Her dashboard lit up red. DDoS floods from Singapore, packet injection attempts from Germany, credential stuffing from Russia, port scans from Brazil, Nigeria, South Korea. It wasn't random. It wasn't messy. It was coordinated, industrial grade, precise. This wasn't one hacker. This was a team, maybe a nation, or worse, a private army with unlimited money. Kathy's fingers moved fast, launching defensive scripts she wrote 5 years ago and never thought she'd need. She whispered to no one in particular, "This isn't just an attack, it's a declaration of war." Kathy didn't just defend, she hunted. With PulseLink sealed, she activated the AI trace protocols, a system so deep it had never been used outside simulations. Let's find out who's brave enough to knock on my back door. She typed a string of commands. Logs poured in like digital rainfall. Thousands of signals. But one stood out. A pattern. Every attack, no matter where it started, routed through the same cluster. A private server block in Zurich, Switzerland. That wasn't a coincidence. That was a mask. She drilled deeper, bypassed registration shields, scrubbed DNS layers, and there it was. Owner Shell Corporation. Untraceable unless you knew where to look. Kathy knew exactly where to look. Vanguard Strategic Holdings. Her jaw tightened. A private equity firm, massive, ruthless. They'd been quietly acquiring cybersecurity companies around the world, licensing tech, buying teams, controlling protocols. And now, they wanted PulseLink. Not just the code, they wanted the system, the data, the control. The creators gone. Kathy leaned back. Her eyes didn't blink. Her voice ice cold. So that's who's behind the curtain. Kathy kept digging. She knew there had to be more. And deep inside one of the mirrored Zurich servers, she found it. A folder. Badly hidden, poorly scrubbed. They must have assumed no one would ever get this far. Inside a single PDF file. She opened it. Her eyes narrowed. Internal memo, Vanguard Strategic Holdings, confidential, eyes only. Bold text at the top. Phase 1, remove creator. Phase 2, acquire under distress. She stared at those 2 lines. No disclaimers, no legal language. Just the plan as blunt and cruel as a knife to the back. They hadn't just supported Graham's betrayal. They orchestrated it. Erase her name. Push her out. Crash the system. Then buy it for pennies while the company burned. A fire sale, hostile takeover, manufactured from the inside. Kathy whispered under her breath, so that's the game. And now they had failed Phase 1, which meant they were about to double down on Phase 2, unless she acted first. Kathy didn't rage, she didn't scream, she executed. Silently, strategically, relentlessly. She compiled everything. The access logs, the Zurich trace, the internal memo, remove creator, acquire under distress, the timeline of events, the names, the servers, the IPs. She encrypted the files, split them into 3 separate digital packages. Then she sent them. 1. FBI Cybercrime Division. 2. SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. 3. TechCrunch, Wired, and Forbes. Each message included 1 sentence. Full documentation attached. Expect follow-up. This is bigger than one company. Then she closed her laptop and waited. She didn't have to wait long. The news hit like an earthquake. Within 2 hours, headlines were everywhere. Vanguard Strategic Holdings exposed in $100 million hostile tech takeover plot. Exclusive, FBI launches probe into private equity cyber sabotage. Kathy Reyes, the woman who took on a global machine and won. Screens lit up in boardrooms across the country. Phones rang off the hook at Vanguard. Investors panicked. Public outrage surged. And at the center of it all was a woman they tried to erase and failed. Kathy didn't disappear after the headlines faded. She didn't vanish into luxury or revenge. She rebuilt. Not just PulseLink, but the system behind the system. She turned it into a global platform built on security, transparency, and accountability. And for the first time in tech history, it was led by women, by engineers, creators, innovators who had been overlooked, dismissed, or erased, just like she had been. Kathy didn't chase revenge. She built legacy. One built not from fear, but from fire. And when asked how she survived it all, she answered simply, "They tried to write me out of the story I created. I didn't just take the pen back, I rewrote the entire ending." Never let them write you out of the story you built. In life, there will be people who overlook you, dismiss you, or even steal what you created. But your power isn't in yelling. It's not in revenge. It's in strategy. It's in knowing your worth. And it's in rising when they least expect it. Like Kathy Reyes, you don't have to burn the building down. You just have to walk back in and own it. Because when they take the pen away, you still hold the ending. If Kathy's story hit home for you, if you believe intelligence, justice, and resilience deserve a voice, then hit that subscribe button right now, because on this channel, we tell the stories of those who were underestimated, betrayed, but never broken. Tap the bell so you never miss the next chapter. The fight for justice is just getting started.